this button, and then I'm gonna say church intro video. Church intro video.
Video. Church intro video.
Church intro video. Yeah,
Whoa,
that's what I'm
whoa.
gonna say.
Intro
No,
video.
we don't.
Hello.
No,
Church intro
you're
video.
making it too
Whoa,
complicated now.
Intro
No,
video.
no,
Whoa. Church
no.
intro video. Hello and welcome to the church intro video. Oh man, there's nobody here yet, so you know.
Yes, there is.
Oh, somebody just showed up.
Do 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 do.
New music.
Do. What?
That brain said she liked the new music, and she says it's gone now.
There is no new music. Shouldn't be no new music. Hello, Bad Brains. Hello, Phoenix.
Good to have you here.
Ooh.
So near. Did my mic volumes get changed?
No, no.
It did. I got turned up on my little hardware here.
I don't notice it being bad.
I turned my hardware back to where it's supposed to be.
Biggs, there wasn't any new music. We're not sure what Bad Brains was talking about.
Supposed to be new music. I don't know what Bad Brains is talking about. And it was 20 seconds.
The only thing I can think of is
Funky and fresh.
during your opening thing of the church intro video, there's
Yeah, maybe you heard one of the little audio
Blurbs.
that's in the
yeah.
intro before the Epsilon 7 music comes on.
Epsilon 7. Epsilon 7.
My wife makes these awesome crochet things.
She does. I have her bats behind me.
And I've got this Francine that you can't see. I'll pull her up back again when the video starts live, but this is Francine. She's derpy.
She's
I
derpy.
love her.
Okay.
I love Francine the derpy bat.
I don't think she would lie either, but there is a difference between lying and maybe missing that 10 seconds.
There's a difference between lying and just being wrong.
She possibly could have missed those 10 seconds over the course of the last 3 years over and over again. Maybe. Minute 30.
A minute 30 to go. Whoa, whoa.
You are in a very singy mood today, and it's a thing.
It's a whole thing. With In-N-Out sauce.
Dude,
Sorry, they call it spread. What?
I don't like In-N-Out.
Did you guys receive the package we sent you?
Yes.
Yes.
Did she not tell you that we received the package you sent us?
Who?
The Zadie? You received
No.
the package? Oh.
No, we didn't get an update that
I'm
you guys
sorry.
had received the package.
I'm sorry.
It's 6:35. Where are we at on the countdown?
We're at 50 seconds.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I looked down at my own recording timer. I was like, oh, we haven't been recording for 5 minutes yet. So
No, we've been recording for
obviously,
4 minutes
the
and
intro
33,
thing's not done yet.
34, 35, 37, 38, 39,
39,
40.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird thing is it does tick the recording like part of a second before the live, so it's kind of interesting. 10 seconds. So, yeah, that part's interesting. 5, And boom! Picture faces. Picture faces.
It's your faces.
What?
Hello.
Huh?
Every week. This is gonna be a new bit every week.
Nope. Just the weeks I feel like doing it.
So every week.
No.
Hello. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 74 of the Berean Manifesto. Faith, hope, and love for the modern Christian. I'm Pastor Bill, and I am joined by Pastor Nooms, all the way from the great state of Tennessee. How you doing, Pastor Nooms?
I don't think we...
Tennessee!
That's not even a good accent in any culture. Like there's no... That's not even making fun of any valid cultures.
It's Jerry Lee Lewis.
Homie, I think only one of our viewers even knows who that is.
You know what? It might have been more Abbott and Costello. Yeah, Biggs is right. That might have been more "Hey Abbott" than anything else. So, all right. How was your week, Pastor James? Am I older than I look?
You're more something than you look.
More something than I look.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more handsome than I look.
I don't think that's how looks work.
How else do you explain the wife that I begged? Unless I'm more handsome than I look.
I often think she's blind and hasn't realized it yet.
Blind as a bat? With the brains to boot?
For those of you out there in the world who don't know, Bat Brains on YouTube is his wife.
Yes.
Love is blind. That's a valid point, Biggs. That's how you bagged a wife, because
love
is blind. No.
Love scars.
No.
All right, so my wife makes these awesome crochet things, and
yes.
This is her derpy bat that she made. I'm sorry if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see the visuals, but this is the derpy bat that I named Francine. And Francine, headcanon, Francine has her own web show that she calls Francie and the Frantics. And the Frantics are her fans. It's because the fans are an integral part of the show. So this is Francine, and she's got Francie and her Frantics. So this is the derpy Francine. Francine.
And then this is what the bats look like once later
she learned
versions.
Not to make them derpy anymore.
They look awesome.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
They sit on a stick, and
there was another project that she worked on. This is this little bat that then turns into, when you flip it inside out, it becomes Vlad. Got a little collar here, and then you flip him inside out, and he becomes a bat again.
I don't mind Vlad as much as I mind Francine, because
I love Francine.
She's
super derp, and I love it so much.
Progress, though. Sometimes the first couple come out a little...
So much progress.
Special.
It's the night of the bats. Talking about all the bats tonight.
So my week was pretty good. I worked. And I had the flu. That's why I don't remember what my week was. I had the flu.
You had something this week.
No, it was the flu, because Tina had the flu, and it was the same. She actually got tested.
There was that one day you were like, what time is it? 4 p.m. I'm going to bed.
There was the 4 p.m. day. There was the 1 p.m. day. Yeah. One day I straight up just went to bed at 1 o'clock. I still have a little bit of a cough, but it's just because of the
pollen in the air,
drainage breaking up in my chest still.
Can you feel the allergens?
Why are you singing so much today? It is.
I don't know.
It is a thing.
Probably because we were playing name that song on the way home from Mimi's house, from
Uh-huh.
my wife's mother's house.
Your
And
wife's mother-in-law?
no, my wife's mother's house.
I thought you said my wife's mother-in-law's house, and I was
No,
like,
that would
wait.
be my mother's
I was
house.
like, that's not where you were.
So you turn on a playlist on Spotify, and then as the songs come on, you try to guess the name of the song and the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'm in that mood still. So anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So this week you had the flu.
I had the flu, so we didn't stream at all.
Mm-mm.
We didn't really do anything at all, at all. Which is interesting because it was great for our analytics. Our analytics are way up on viewership because
Because our streaming is way down.
because our streaming is way down, and the Sunday night is of course the time when most people watch for the week anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny because I was like, oh, because I was talking to Phoenix about it, and she was like, well, how bad are your analytics? I was like, they're at like zero point 0.4 viewers a minute. Like it's real bad. And then she's like, really? And I look and it's like it was like 4.6. And I was like, wait, why? Oh yeah, church.
Because we didn't stream very much. Yeah.
Because church is all we've done in the last month because of me
Yeah.
being, vacation, getting ready for vacation, and then being sick.
This last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our viewer count is up, but our stream time is way down. Which isn't terrible if we can get like 6 more subscribers and like 10 people to watch. I think Bill just got lost in the Netherverse because he is frozen and quiet. So I think we might have just lost Bill, everyone. Hopefully he will join us again in just a moment. Since he is just gone. I am not sure where he is.
Hey, there he is.
There he is. Now he's back. He was gone for a while.
Yeah, on my end, you completely froze mid-sentence.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Usually that
Love
doesn't
you.
happen. Usually I keep getting down even though my up stops.
Yeah, your up is worse than your down, but that one was straight up. We were green over here and beautiful, and you were just gone.
I was just gone, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how was your week, Pastor Bill?
Well, interestingly enough, I got to bed at a decent hour every night. I don't know what happened there, but
I'm sure there's no correlation between me being sick and you getting enough sleep.
between you being sick and me getting to bed on time every night. I have no idea. So yeah, so that happened. So I feel pretty rested, which is good. But then I also got a nap in today, for like 45 minutes at my mother-in-law's house. So that was nice.
I have taken naps before there too. Sleeping there is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So that was my week. Getting to bed on time and taking a nap today.
You live a very
No.
adventurous life.
Well, I got that new project I've been working on. Discovered that I'm really into data analytics. I like it. It enthuses me. It checks those boxes.
Data is a lot of fun.
So
Data.
that's an interesting thing for me to find something new that I'm like, I could actually foresee myself doing this like every day for money. That's crazy. I've never had a field where I was just like, yes, I could see myself doing this like long term every day.
I love data. It's at this point in my career, it's where I spend my whole day is over a data team. I love data. I've loved data ever since I was 18 and didn't want to make phone calls. And I've loved data ever since.
When I was 18, I wanted to make those phone calls. I wanted to get those missionaries on the missions field.
I did not want to call any more churches in Tennessee and try to get them to go to a youth event that they didn't want to go to. And you froze again. Oof. It's going to be one of those nights, guys. We better hold on. It's going to be an interesting night. That's a fun face, too. That's a real fun face. Let me just go ahead and See if I can get a good screenshot of that face. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a real good one here. Just gonna go ahead and send that over.
All right, I'm back. Yeah, I wanted to make phone calls and get missionaries on the mission field so bad that I did things like calling the home of a warden over a prison to get paperwork signed for a missionary to go on the missions field. The missionary lived in Florida. Father was in prison in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Mother had told the teenager that dad was dead. So teenager didn't know she needed those forms signed. So I'm in there trying to get gold forms approved. I'm calling the prison. I finally got a maid in the warden's office to pick up the phone, and she gave me the warden's home number. I then called the warden at his home and convinced him to drive back into work and fax us the authorization
Nice.
so that she could go on this missions trip.
Nice. Nice. That is fun.
Yeah.
I would love to say that if I had been making GE calls, it would have been different. But
It definitely would have, because it was like hanging out with friends.
no,
it
it
really
wouldn't have been any
was.
different. I hate using the telephone. I hate using the telephone to this day. I don't like talking on the phone. There's no, you can't tell what people are thinking. You can't tell what their face
Yeah.
expressions are. I don't like phone calls.
No, I definitely faced the existential dread of the phone ringing every time. You dial the number and then you ring, please don't pick up. Nobody pick up. Ring, please don't pick up. Nobody pick up. Ring, please don't pick up. Nobody pick up. Hello? Hi, this is Bill with Teen Mania Ministries. Yeah, it was like that every time. And I was making probably 300 calls a week. Actually, I was probably thinking 300 calls by Wednesday every week, because you get a lot of no answers, and then you got to call back through your list again and again and again. So, no, nobody ever hung up on me. I got a lot of, who are you that wants to talk to my teenager? Biggs on Twitch said click, but no, I didn't get any clicks.
I got a lot of clicks.
Yeah, I bet you did. Hey, we want you to bring your youth to this charismatic event. Click.
Was never even said charismatic event, but somehow
No?
they knew.
Somehow they knew.
Somehow
Well, I
they
mean,
knew.
it's called Acquire the Fire. That screams Pentecostal or charismatic.
And yet I had gone to Baptist church after Baptist church and gone to them and never knew.
Yeah.
Anywho.
So there's a gentleman that works as an associate pastor at a large mega church in the area right now, who, when I was a teenager, was a youth pastor at a Church of Christ church here in my hometown in BK.
Okay.
And he decided to take his youth group to Acquire the Fire, of which his senior pastor told him no, do something else that weekend, and then he took them anyway.
Oh, okay.
And that's how he lost that job. So, which makes sense. You know, you take the teenagers somewhere where you're not supposed to take them, you lose your job. Period.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
typically how that works.
yeah, that church doesn't exist anymore, by the way. That's neither here nor there.
Interesting.
All right. There is a different Church of Christ in town, but it's not the same one. At least not that I'm aware of. Okay. So now it's time for getting to know the pastors.
It is.
And the first thing I'm going to do on getting to know the pastors is show you guys my neat little pen that I got, and then we'll pull a card.
Okay.
I got this neat little pen they were giving out at my mother-in-law's church.
It's really
It's got
blurry.
these awesome rainbow colors behind this cross, and it says, Jesus is alive. I love it. It's fantastic. And I'm going to wear the heck out of it.
And I find it to be so very, very interesting that it was given to you by a Baptist church, and they probably have no idea.
Yeah, they probably didn't realize what they were doing, but that's okay.
But that's okay.
because it sends a much um it sends a really great message. I love it.
It does. I agree.
All right, so let's pull a card and let's see what we're going with this week.
So I'm watching the stream as it goes out because I was just checking some analytics while I was doing it, and I realize I sit very very still a lot when I'm not speaking or doing something. I just kind of sit here and look at the screen. And I realized that for all the times you are frozen, there's probably twice as much time I look frozen.
Except for when you're going like this.
Because there's so much time. Well, I have a
Or when you're
fidget in
going
my
like
hand.
this.
Um, and so I'm like, hmm. So my wife bought me this fidget, right? And it makes noise. It's super annoying. Super annoying noise. And uh I told her, I was like, why'd you buy this? I don't want this. There's no reason for me to have this. The girls have a couple of these. She has one. And I'm like, this is a waste. I don't need one. And I
And
can't
you haven't been
think
able to put it down?
of any time that we've not had it since then. Um, is that bad of quality just because it's going out that bad? Or is it because I put this here and then pulled it away? No, it's just going out that fuzzy at the moment. That's annoying.
You don't look fuzzy on my end.
Of course not. You're not the stream.
Ah.
It's
Can
getting
can I
throttled.
read the card now?
Sure.
What are you currently curious about?
Um, let's start with you and I'll think. What are you currently curious about?
Everything?
Everything is not an answer.
Like, okay, so like solar panels. Like, the sunlight comes in and it heats up a diode, and the diode then translates that to energy and passes it. How?
Because
Every explanation I've found skips that step of explaining how it transfers it from I'm heating up now to here's the energy you requested, and I don't know how that works. LEDs. Why is this different than the other lights? How is it that we built this self-contained little thing that we can hook up with other little things and they show so much better, but then we put a diffuser over them, and instead of it looking like a light bright, now it's a television. How does that work? Why does that work that way? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me how that would be a thing. That it would go from, hey, I'm a light bright with a bunch of just individual lights to here's a diffuser and suddenly it looks like a person on my television screen. That feels like magic to me. Why is it that the crescent moon isn't always the same crescent? Why is it that it turns like this back and forth over the course of a year from month to month? Why is the crescent moon always different? That doesn't make any sense to me. I've seen the model and where the moon is, where the earth is, and how the light, but that doesn't make any sense to me. It goes back and forth and back and forth. I don't get it. And if the earth is round and things disappear over the horizon at a certain point, and that holds true on land, more or less, you can take your binoculars and the land gets in the way, then why, when a ship goes out on the ocean and it goes to the same distance where it should be gone, can you then take binoculars and zoom in and the ship shows up again?
so the Earth isn't actually round. That's the problem. Everyone is you have the flat earthers, you have your the Earth's a sphere, it's round. But it's round, but it's not a sphere. It's not the same round everywhere. And the water doesn't sit on it the same as land does. Like,
Water's flat.
kind of. So, the tides come in and out? They
Yeah,
don't.
I do.
They don't. The tides stay where they are. The land is moving in and out. Because,
Nuh-uh.
yeah, because the Earth's rotation, it's rotating into and rotating out of. As it rotates in, the water's there. As it rotates around, then the moon pulls the water the other direction because of the rotation. It's not actually moving in and
It's
out.
the water sloshing?
It's the water sloshing. They're
Oh,
not actual. So the water is actually bunched slightly. So that's why the distance is different on water as it is on land as far as when something goes over the horizon. Because depending on where you are, depends on how the water is actually sitting. Because it doesn't sit even like the land does. Which is weird to
well,
think about.
those were just some of the things that I'm curious about. And I can keep going. Like I said, everything. My brain is constantly grabbing things and going, how does that work? How does that work? What does that do? How do they get it like that? What is that? How do they do that? How does that work? How can I do that? How do they do that? What makes that? Everywhere I go, everything I see, everything I do, my brain is constantly asking, how? How does that work?
And I've Googled way too much because of the same thing. And I can answer several of the questions that you're asking, but I don't feel like it.
Okay.
Because I actually have the answer for about 4 or 5 of those.
So what are you curious about?
I That's the thing. If I'm curious about it, I typically Google it. There's not a lot that still I'm still curious about. I usually can Google to my satisfaction, and
Let's see,
then I'm
like
not curious
I
anymore.
Googled the solar panel thing and couldn't find an actual answer.
That's because you won't find it because it's proprietary. If everyone understood it better, then it wouldn't be an industry.
Hmm.
There are certain
Okay.
things that you just won't figure out. I'm curious on why my chair can't sit in the right position and why I keep ending up on the ground. I'm curious about that. I
So
actually know the answer. I'm just joking. I'm not actually curious about it. And you're frozen again. Poor Bill. Froze on the one that he thought he had an answer on. Oh, that's some existential ugh right there, guys. Um, so welcome to the Noom Show. Bill is frozen at the moment. So it's all me. He'll be back momentarily. His internet's been having a lot of in and out tonight.
I'm gonna have a bunch of dead spots to take out of the audio for this
Oh,
podcast.
it's no. There's no dead spots. There is
There
no.
are on my audio.
There's audio points, but there is
When it
no dead spots
when
that you
it
have to remove.
freezes on my side, I stop talking.
Right, but
So
I
those
don't.
I will remove.
I don't. So because of that, you can't remove them from the broadcast because I'm talking. I'm talking straight through, homie. I ain't letting
I
this
guess
thing
it
go
depends
dead.
on what you're gonna say,
Oh, okay. We're
whether or
going.
not I remove it from the podcast.
That's just rude. That is just super, super rude.
A little bit of Pastor Nooms all of the time.
Again, with the singing. So tonight, since
Apathy's a
it's.
sin, but murder is a crime. Those aren't the right words, are they?
I don't know. I don't know what you're singing.
It's a Bo Burnham song.
Okay.
Comedian.
Oh, okay. I'll take your
All
word
right.
for it.
So tonight we are in Acts 2.
Yes.
Shocker. And we're hitting verses. We started in verse 14. And we're going straight through to verse 36. Would you like to read this, or would you like me to?
No, I don't want to read that much.
You don't want to read that? Okay.
No. That's a lot of stuff, man.
Clear my throat. Peter stood up with the 11, raised his voice, and proclaimed to them, "Fellow Jews, and all you residents of Jerusalem, let me explain this to you, and pay attention to my words. For these people are not drunk, as you suppose, since it's only 9 in the morning. On the contrary, this is what was spoken through the prophet Joel." What does it actually say about what time of day it is?
The third hour of the day.
Okay, so that is 9 a.m. Okay. On the contrary, this is what was spoken through the prophet Joel. "And it will be in the last days, says God, that I will pour out my spirit on all people. Then your sons and your daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. I will even pour out my spirit on my servants in those days, both men and women, and they will prophesy. I will display wonders in the heaven above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and a cloud of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and glorious day of the Lord comes. Then everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." Fellow Israelites, listen to these words. This Jesus of Nazareth was a man attested to you by God with miracles, wonders, and signs that God did among you through him, just as you yourselves know. Though he was delivered up according to God's determined plan and foreknowledge, you used lawless people to nail him to a cross and kill him. I like when Peter gets like this. You nailed him to a cross. And you killed him. He keeps doing that over and over in Acts. It's fun. We're in verse 24 now.
Mm-hmm.
God raised him up, ending the pains of death, because it was not possible for him to be held by death. For David says of him, "I saw the Lord ever before me, because he is at my right hand. I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my tongue rejoices. Moreover, my flesh will rest in hope, because you will not abandon me in Hades, or allow your Holy One to see decay. You have revealed the paths of life to me. You will fill me with gladness in your presence. Brothers and sisters, I can confidently speak to you about the patriarch David. He is both dead and buried, and his tomb is with us to this day. Since he was a prophet, he knew that God had sworn an oath to him to seat one of his descendants on his throne. Seeing what was to come, he spoke concerning the resurrection of the Messiah. He was not abandoned in Hades, and his flesh did not experience decay. God has raised this Jesus. We are all witnesses of this. Therefore, since he has been exalted to the right hand of God and has received from the Father the promised Holy Spirit, he has poured out what you both see and hear. For it was not David who ascended into the heavens, but he himself says, the Lord declared to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know with certainty that God has made this.
So Bill just froze there. So it's this Jesus whom you crucified, both Lord and Messiah. And that's the end of verse 36. So that wraps up the scripture that Bill was reading, which was Acts 2:14 through 36. This has been a fun evening of little breaks. So Peter's talking here, following up from last week, where we ended, which is when they said that the speaking in tongues, they could understand them. blah blah blah, drunk on new wine, and that's when we then picked up on 14, and now Bill's back. Yay! I
How
finished
far
reading.
did we get before I froze?
We got to the like halfway through 36, and then I picked up and started reading where you stopped.
Oh, okay. So I almost got done.
Yeah, it was like this Jesus whom you crucified, both Lord and Messiah. That's all I had to read. So
So then I said, so I feel a little suspicious about this interaction because how did they then not want to stone him right there in the streets? Were they just still dumbfounded over all the they're speaking in my own tongue, they're speaking my language, da 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 thing?
I mean, mid miracle, it's hard to grasp that whole let's stone them in front of an entire crowd of people who just saw them doing miracles, and prophesying and speaking in languages
Yeah.
they can't speak in. It'd
Yeah,
be
they
a
don't
hard.
start stoning people for proclaiming the name of Jesus until chapter 5.
Yeah, because it's a hard sell right there. There's a lot of people in town. There's a lot of people
Or
around.
sorry, 7.
Um, so that's a hard sell at that point, I think is why.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
and again, it's one of those things where, like you said, it's the shock of, wait a second. First off, I shouldn't be hearing him in my native language. We share a language, but I shouldn't be hearing him in a
But it ain't
language he
that.
doesn't speak. Um,
Yeah.
so I think a lot of it is that dumbfounded, huh? Moments. Um,
All right, so let's break some of this down.
okay.
Okay. Verse 20, this super weird. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and glorious day of the Lord comes. Um,
From Joel.
from Joel, from the prophet Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those releases by scientists? They're talking about the moon is rusting.
No.
Yeah. So there's chunks of the moon that are rusting. And I read one journal entry that said they believed that within the next 20 years the moon would start having a red tint to it and eventually would be completely red because of the rust that's collecting on the surface of the moon.
Supposedly it's because of the Earth. It's likely the Earth's fault, is what they think.
Well, it's got to be something's fault. The moon doesn't really have its own atmosphere.
Well, and there's no water, so you can't really have
Right.
oxidization,
How do you rust something with no water?
hydrogen connections without water. Started in 2007, discovered that oxygen from the Earth's upper atmosphere can hitch a ride on the magnetic field that trails behind the Earth, and in theory, some of this oxygen has made its way to the moon. So that's why.
So then suddenly verse 20 of Acts chapter 2 becomes less bizarre and more, maybe Joel actually saw something there.
I kind of just assumed, the uptick in blood moons that we've been having, where because of
Well, we call them blood moons because of the scripture.
I know, and
But
and
I
other
think
cultures.
it's literally, I think it's literally the moon is literally turning red.
It could.
And then we've talked about before this. Whenever they say the great and glorious day of the Lord, they're talking about the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the rapture. That's not the return of the Lord. That's not any of those things. That's straight up the Bema, the judgment seat of Christ, the judgment that everybody goes through. Oh, let's not talk about that, Rocks. Bad brains, the spiders in the atmosphere. Let's not do that. That's the stuff nightmares are made up of, right there. Big sis, no, 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 no.
Aren't there supposed to be some spiders ending up in California from Australia because of the way the winds are this year or something?
I don't know about that.
Mm. Um,
California's got it coming though. All the high gas prices and all that.
I
It's
mean,
ridiculous
just
trying to live in
imagine,
California.
just imagine them floating on their little parachutes through the air right up into
Like
Tennessee.
the Charlotte's Web cartoon.
Biggs, just in case you don't know,
Goodbye.
is deathly afraid of spiders. He's afraid of spiders to the level that I'm afraid of zombies. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
I should make an art composite of him as a
Like,
spider.
like he is terrified of spiders. Um, so it's fun. Anyway,
Anyway, right. So
and
when we see things, when we read in like scientific journals and we see things playing out that appear to have been prophesied, that always makes me just like, oh, look at that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
What you reading?
What do you think I'm reading? It's starting in the poles, basically, because that's the part of the moon that gets the most dust from our planet as we move through space. Oh, he froze again. So, since I just read a bunch on it, the 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 magnetic field of the Earth, there's some metal and stuff, atmosphere, that's then getting pulled onto the moon by its small gravitational pull as it floats off of our atmosphere and onto it. Hey, you're back!
I'm back.
And it's starting to turn red at the tops, it looks like, based on what it looks like.
Yeah.
No, we're not
And it's
even
just supposed to
talking.
keep
We're not even.
expanding from there.
We're not even talking, Biggs, about the actual space junk that's just littered around the Earth. We're talking about actual like atmosphere. Um, not all the garbage that we have floating above us at all
I
given
wonder
times.
if we sent enough junk into orbit, would we have more mild days with less sun? Or would we all just starve to death?
It it would affect both, I think.
Because we, at the same time, we have one group of scientists that are talking about it's too hot, and if it keeps getting hotter, we're all gonna die, and it's humanity's fault. And then we have a whole nother school of scientists that are going, we really should turn Jupiter into a second sun because we don't have enough food to feed everyone, and if we had another sun, then we could expand planting seasons and make enough food for everybody. And I'm like, you can't both have your way here. This is an either or situation. Either one of you is right or the other one is, and I'm afraid to find out which one.
We get two suns, that becomes a Tatooine issue. Um, we can survive, but it sucks.
And on that same point, how do we know Jupiter is a gas giant? Like, how do we know it's not just a lot of gas and then a planet with like sentient species on it or something? And we're like, yeah, we're just gonna turn that into a big ball of fire to feed our own people and extinct yet another species.
And how do we know there's even enough gas that would actually, not just go woof?
Yeah, it'd have to be a certain density.
Yeah.
And we just don't know. We've taken scans, with passing devices, and we've taken scans from Earth, but it's more or less guesswork at this point.
I read a really great article. This has nothing to do with church tonight, but hey, it happens. Read a really great article the other day about Um, what if we've already ruined a planet? And it was this whole thing about how,
Mars.
yeah, what if we ruined
Yeah.
Mars and sent an escape pod that hit Earth?
Or at this point, more likely the asteroid belt.
Yeah. Um, and that's the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. And that
Was
was the
us.
first, yeah, and that was the first
Us
humans.
coming to Earth.
And I was
And
like,
only 2 people survived the crash.
yeah,
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Yeah, and I was like, I mean, it sounds like it was a writing prompt is what it was. But it was one of those things where it was like, I mean, I've heard stranger.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so all right, continue. We keep getting off topic for the times that you freeze, and it makes it interesting. And then you freeze. That's bad. That's karmatic bad timing on my part. I shouldn't have said he's going to freeze because then he froze. There must be either some cloud cover or some storms or it's extra cold or the satellite company just is in a mood. So Billiam gets his internet through like line of sight thing. There you are. Welcome back.
So there's this one theory that Eden, the actual Garden of Eden, was on a planet. And that when the humans were kicked out, that's when we came to Earth.
So Batbrains, who's his wife and is probably sitting in the living room, says it is very cloudy and very windy, which would cause internet connection issues. So that explains why he's having such bad internet tonight. That is an interesting theory that you speak of, that maybe Eden was another planet. I've also heard maybe it's another dimension. I've heard that thought process before. And now you're back.
So that theory was that that planet was Eden, that then was destroyed and made up the asteroid belt.
Interesting.
And there is that one theory.
All right, so back to what we're trying to decompress about all the craziness in Joel. We talked about the red.
Let's just jump to where we're going.
Okay, let's go where we're going.
My flesh will rest in hope. Don't be anxious. Don't let your flesh sabotage your rest and your hope, because we have hope. We have this idea of how things are going and where we're going. We have a hope of eternity with Christ. We live our life today as if that's never going to happen. You know, we take care of today, we make plans for tomorrow, and then we hold on to the hope that we may not have to face tomorrow. That's where we were going. That's the path we were taking. The internet is not working in our favor tonight, so that was where we were going. So hopefully you can go back and read it and find your way there from reading it for yourself, because I'm done. I'm so over struggling with this internet right now. It is. It's the wind. It's driving it crazy. It's blowing trees into the line of sight, and it's, yeah.
Yeah. And Bat Brains, we don't want to know what kind of books you're reading about aliens currently, because I know the kind of books you read. So we don't want to talk about any of that.
We don't kink shame. Da, 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 da.
Not kink shaming, and I wasn't saying it was kinky until you did. I was saying I know what kind of books she reads. That could mean she reads juvenile books. That means she reads dumb books. I mean, I could have been shaming her for almost anything. You, my friend, implied kink shaming. Because let's be honest, I am not one to kink shame. But that's beside the point.
You knew exactly what kind of book she was reading.
And it was not appropriate to talk about on the Berean Manifesto, is why I said it.
Why? We're not Moses with our face veiled.
We're
normal human beings. We do normal human being things.
And I agree wholeheartedly, but we would not be discussing in detail any of the books that she currently is reading.
Right, but we're not going to hide the fact of what kind of books my wife
Oh,
reads.
no, of course not.
There's no point.
No. But to say I'm shaming is wrong, because that's not the case.
Well, if I thought you were actually, I wouldn't have put it in the We Are Farmers tune when I said it.
Judging, maybe, because since I don't actually know the script,
McJudgerson.
some of those types of books are very poorly written, and I will judge you for reading the poorly written ones. But a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are written by very good authors that that's what they enjoy writing, and it comes easy to them.
And then you've got that mummy book that I got her for Valentine's Day.
I don't even want to know.
It's a couple of comedians got together and they were like, there's vampire romances and there's werewolf romances and when are they going to write the mummy romance? And then they wrote it themselves, and it's literally just like
satirical,
a bunch of mummy jokes.
Yeah.
Centered around a teenager who falls in love with a mummy. Yeah. At one point,
that's an age gap.
She's like, I'm only 17. And he's like, me too. That's how old I was when I died.
All right. And on that note, thank you guys for joining us tonight during this terrible night of interruptions that has derailed us
so awful
to the nth degree. Yeah, it's just...
Bad Brain says it was the best book present ever.
It's not time for the 30-second buffer, because Billiam has to do his whole other thing where he ends it.
So the Berean Manifesto comes out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would like to join us when we record it, we do record it live, broadcasting out to our Facebook, our Twitch, and our YouTube channels. If you would like to know which Twitch, which YouTube, and which Facebook, you can go to our website, ekk.house, to find out. We would love to have you join us live, and you can be a part of the fun. We have our chat box open when we're live, and people can contribute and ask questions and be a part of the conversation. We really love it that way. We play off of our, I don't want to say audience, but it's more like it's like a congregation, but like we're sitting around a table, having this conversation.
It's our community.
It's our community. It's what the heart of the Ecclesian House has always been, is to have table talks centered around a topic, and keep it personal and keep it close and keep it available and open. So we'd love if you could come and join us some Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We do have Pride coming up, first weekend in June. So if you're coming to Pride, we'd love to see you there. Come and find us. We're going to have a big old space, like 3 10-foot spaces, all backed up together. We'll have a Gaming with the Pastor section and a Berean Manifesto section, and then we'll have our merch section where you can come and buy some You Are Loved merch. Let me show you what we got. Some of what we got. Some of what we got here.
Oh yeah, because you got it in already. Some of it.
Well, I got my shirts in, but then the rest of the order is at my mom's house. So we've got this Known and Loved cross t-shirt.
And I promise it looks better in person. It's that the font is only fuzzy because of internet connection.
And then we've got this abstract sort of heart-looking thing, and it says Fully Loved next to it. Then we've got Fully Known, Fully Loved in cyan, magenta, yellow, and white.
Mm-hmm.
And then another design that I wasn't able to get a discounted copy of as the store owner, that where we print them, online store owner, but I will have more of those. And then we've got some more free hugs shirts for the people actually working the event. If you're a believer and you want to come, and unfortunately Zadie's asking, did we get tank tops? Unfortunately, that wasn't an option to get tank tops for the free hug shirts.
Bring your scissors. Don't bring your scissors. We're driving. Bring your scissors. We'll
I was
fix
gonna
them
say
when
I
we
can
get
mail
there.
it to you, and you can make it into a tank top.
We'll fix it when we get
or
there.
bring your scissors and make it into the. I'm okay with you wearing a tank top. I just couldn't get them printed on tank tops. So
I'm gonna make myself a crop top.
leading up to the event, I'll be wearing some of these shirts. You know, as we're counting down to the event, and the couple of weeks before Pride, we'll be doing a fully known night. We'll be doing a fully loved night, where we really dig into those scriptures that cover those topics, so that when people come and join us for the broadcast the night after Pride, probably not because they'll be at the parade. Maybe the week after that, then there'll already be content there that'll talk to them about fully known, fully loved, and we really hope to be a light in. I mean, the world is dark, and we want to be a light. We can't use the same cards. Some of the same cards we can use, about half of them. The other half talk about coming in and having a meal with us in person, which isn't really something we do anymore because of the pandemic. So I'm gonna have to get new cards. I'm gonna have to get new brochures, because the brochures on the back say, "Come join us at El Chico on Sunday nights."
And we're not there no more.
But yeah, but
We're
those
here.
aren't very expensive. Those aren't hard to get, and those are pretty easy to edit. So, all right. So that's what we have coming up, as far as ministry for our church. So we hope that you can come and join us at that event and love on some folks, and let us love on you. We'd like to see you face to face and love on you if you're hearing this, watching this, and you're going to be at Pride, or you decide to go to Pride because we're going to be there and you'd like to do some ministry with us. We'll be there just loving on folks, because it's our job to love. And regardless of what you think, feel, or believe about the people we're doing ministry to, our job is to love. The Holy Spirit's job is to do everything else. So if you come on with understanding. It's our job to love.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be standing there with signs yelling at people.
Ugh.
If you come and you think you're going to be a part of us, and you're going to be judgmental or yelling or weaponizing scripture, that's not going to happen. You won't be a part of our group with that. Okay. There you go. And I still have 2 minutes of time to fill. What should we talk about?
I don't know. I tried.
You tried what?
I don't know. That's what my shirt says.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I guess we can just wrap it up.
Okay. No, you gotta do your whole goodbye ass part. You can't start with 30-second buffer. It's not time for the 30-second buffer.
I love you guys. Have a great week.
Be safe out there,
next
please.
time.
Be safe out there, please. Always, not just until next time, like he always says. Because he only
I did
loves
all
you
of
until
mine
next
just
time.
right there, back to back to back, and then you did yours.
You did no pause. You gave me no pause.
No, I didn't. I gave you no pause whatsoever.
It's just been a terrible night.
30-second buffer.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
Has it been 30 seconds yet?
No, but that's okay
I don't know. I
because
didn't look at the clock
every
before we
time
started.
we do this, it doesn't have to be perfect. Because
30-second
buffer, 30-second buffer, 30-second buffer. All right, goodbye. I'm hitting the
Turn it
buttons.
off.